campus, and this award doesn't have to be repaid. Basically, how this award works is if you are hired into a work study position, that award amount that you would see as work study in your financial aid package basically pays a portion of your wages as they come in. Okay, so the next slide is going to show you a little bit how you know you're eligible for work study. So these are the eligibility requirements that we have. They're based off of the results from your FAFSA. So you have to be an undergraduate student eligible to work in the US, meaning you're a US citizen or you're an eligible non-citizen and you can work. You have to demonstrate financial need. This basically, generally you have to be a Pell eligible to be offered work study. And you have to maintain satisfactory academic progress. So basically, you have to keep your grades up as you're throughout the year. And if you are tick off all these boxes, then you can qualify, and work study would be awarded to you in your financial aid package at the beginning of the school year, or an appeal process. If you would qualify in that, then it would come to you later in the school year to use. Something important to have when you are looking for work study jobs is that you have to accept work study, because in Handshake, which is the platform we use for jobs on campus, you have to accept work study to be able to see the work study positions on Handshake. Okay, so this is how you would check for your award. You go into our web, go on the financial aid icon, make sure it's set to 24 and 25. You would click on the award offer, click open the work section, and then there you could accept your work study award. And something important to note is that if you do not use your award for the year, you generally will lose it in the next year. So if you do have work study like your freshman year, it's important to work at some point in the year to use that award if you want to get it in the years following. I think this is Michelle.
Yeah, it is. Okay. So what are the benefits of using work study? So the top one, it helps with your educational expenses. The jobs that you end up being employed at offer pretty flexible hours, and it also helps you gain experience, skills, and just being able to network and use these sort of like skill sets in order for you to, thrive in the workforce after you graduate from college or pursue like grad school. So who hires work study students? So any of our on-campus departments can offer a position for work study students, but not all on-campus jobs are work study. And the biggest indicator of that is if the position is not posted on Handshake, then it currently isn't a work study job, right? But if you were to find a job, let's just say on like the library website, and you contact the hiring manager, they're interested in hiring you, and you mention that you have work study, if they're interested in hiring you as a work study student, all they have to do is post the job on Handshake and have it get approved. And that's how you kind of make like a regular on-campus job into like a work study position. And as for our off-campus employers, currently right now, our partners are local school districts or nonprofits. And all of our off-campus employers have met a certain criteria that is essentially like the guidelines that we follow within like the work study program. And they got approved. They went through like the approval process prior to being able to post jobs for y'all as work study students to apply to. So that's why you won't really see like retail jobs or, food service jobs, because the employers that we invite have to follow like the guidelines that we follow under work study. And these are just some examples of pretty common positions you'll see on Handshake. So the top three are data management, customer service, or administrative/office support. Those are mainly like on-campus jobs. Hence, like the example is all like UCR on-campus departments. You'll mainly see those on Handshake under like their department titles. but then there's tutoring positions and community service positions. And you'll see like the tutoring positions, a lot of the school district use those or other like tutoring programs. And community service positions are mainly for like nonprofits. For example, the Blue Foundation and My Learning Studio, which could be a tutoring position or just a regular community partner position. And then this is just a quick timeline of our work study timeline. So as many of you know, on August 22nd, you were able to start viewing and applying to all work study positions. And in a couple days, September 15th is when you will be able to start using your funding. So I'm assuming a lot of you who have been hired will probably start work, if not on this day, on the 16th. And that's when your funding will, officially go through and you could start working up to 19 hours a week. And then a quick disclaimer during your winter breaks or your spring breaks, because school isn't or classes aren't in session, you can work up to 39 hours as long as you get that approval or kind of set like your different hourly rates different hours like during the break, as long as you get an approval from your supervisor that they're okay with you working more hours. And then on June 21st of next year, 2025, is the last day that you can utilize your work study funding. And like I said earlier, this is just like a really, condensed timeline of just the most important dates that we want y'all to remember. But of course, like since so many of you are coming in as like first years in fall, make sure to just kind of like acclimate to student life before you jump into like working. Because obviously you know yourself better than we do, but of course we always recommend that you focus on your schoolwork before you kind of like stress out about finding a job. But again, like you know yourself better than we do, like totally like take your time. This isn't like something that you have to, I guess, like fully pressure yourself to follow. And then these are just some quick reminders. The first one, accepting a work study award doesn't entitle you to a job. And what we mean is we get so many emails around this time with students sort of expecting us to hand them a job. And obviously, if we could, we would, right? But there are so many work study students that it does end up becoming like a very highly competitive job market just within work study students and like work and the limited work study positions, because again, they're real jobs. They're not just something that are just kind of like like lazily provided for you. Like, no, these are real people seeking real workers. So it is still something that, as reminder number 3 indicates, you got to show up on time, just really put yourself out there, be curious and like act responsible, whether it be like in an interview or, if you get lucky, you get hired, like really try to maintain, the reasoning behind why they hired you, right? Like this isn't something that you have to like apply for. It is like an award that's given to you, but again, like this does really help like your networking skills and just in general like your developmental skills when it comes to like seeking jobs and working. I feel like that's what some students tend to forget, so please don't do that. Don't forget, like really try to take this as seriously as possible. And for work study, reminder number 4, I kind of brought this up earlier, but not all on-campus jobs get posted. A lot of departments, sometimes you can like directly ask them. Sometimes they'll post their own jobs on their own website or just like maybe flyers around campus. But definitely take the initiative. If you see something you like, contact the hiring manager, try to, get them to be interested in hiring you, and definitely let them know that you have a work study award. So they'll be more inclined to hire you just so that they can have, extra help funding like your compensation. And number 5 is really important too. You just have to try to maintain at least a 2.0 GPA to qualify for the award. And just know that if you do fall below that, you do run the risk of losing it. And basically everything that I've just talked about so far, if you follow this link, it sends you to this PDF. And it's just a guide for you as students to utilize. Feel free to download it, print it, whatever you want to do. It's just like a condensed form of everything we spoke about just now. Okay, and then for finding work study jobs, it's really straightforward. So once you create your Handshake account, you click on the section that says jobs, you go to all your filters and you click on the work study box, right? It's just a quick check mark. I know this picture is super blurry, but that check mark with the blue arrow says work study. And just know that if you don't see like this specific filter where it says work study, it's probably because you haven't accepted your work study award. So if you do come across that, just make sure to go to your RWeb, go to your financial aid award section, and just make sure that you accepted it. And if you have, and if you have accepted it, maybe give like a couple days to like a week. I know it starts to update for newly accepted work study students, so just give it a little bit of time. But if you see, after like a fair amount of days that it hasn't been updated, feel free to reach out to us at the financial aid department or like the career center, and we'll help you out. Then preparing for your job search. This is just a quick resume tips. Again, I know a lot of y'all are coming in as first year, so you don't have, a lot of experience, but just make sure to like try to condense what you do have to fit into one page. Try to hit these 6 points, which is just your contact info, your education, any work or volunteer experience, your skill sets that you want to showcase, campus involvement, activities, honors, and awards. It's just like a quick, breakdown of kind of like who you are and who you want to present yourself to, like your potential employer. I know for the second point, it can be really tedious sometimes, right? Having to edit your resume or like tailor it to like specific jobs, but it does help in the long run. If you could totally get away with like using the same resume if you're applying to like tutoring positions back to back, right? Unless there's any like specificities in like the job description that you have to um I guess enhance or like tailor it to. But if you're using like a resume that you use for your tutoring position, for I don't know, applying to be like the mascot for UCR, like it really it won't help your case. Just really try to like find the skill sets that you think exemplify who your potential employer needs, and that'll definitely help you out in the long run. And if you need help with tailoring your resume or just like, creating one in general, feel free to attend our resume building workshops that are led by our peer advisors at the Career Center. We don't have dates right now, but we're going to for sure host them this upcoming quarter in the fall. But if you want something a little more personalized, and you want it to be like critiqued by a career counselor before you upload it to Handshake and start using it when you're applying to jobs, you can request an appointment. And here are the 3 different types of appointments that we have. The first one, all of these can be in person or virtual, is a counseling appointment. And this is where you meet with like our professional career counselor. And you set like a designated amount of like personal time for them to like go over those resumes with you. But please make sure to request an appointment via UCR Handshake, and I link the link right here to set up an appointment with one of our counselors, or you can always come to the front desk and ask to set up an appointment in person. And then for the drop-in advising, this is mainly led by our peer advisors. So peer advisors are, UCR students who were trained by Career Center staff to help you out. And these only last about 15 minutes. And again, I included the sign-up link here. They can be virtual, or you can come in person and see who's like available during the times that you are, and you can set up an appointment. And the practice appointments are mainly for practicing interviewing skills. So again, you would set up a virtual appointment with the link that I have linked over here, but you would let your counselor know that you just want to practice for like a mock interview, so that they can give you feedback after you're done before you pursue like a real interview. And again, just some quick interviewing tips. For sure, number 1 should be dress appropriately. I know some of us might not have professional clothes, and that's okay. They're always available at the art closet, and that's one of the programs here at the Career Center, where you're able to come in when the art closet's open and take I think like 3 items of clothing every quarter in order for you to, not have to pay anything. It's all free. It's all donated by, the community. So feel free to check it out. The link is in our Career Center website. It's under like the resources bucket. And then for the second tip is just make sure to read the job description and prepare any questions. Like I mentioned earlier, sometimes certain jobs are pretty straightforward. They don't ask you for too many like unique things, but sometimes it will. And so you just have to really be prepared so that you're not caught off guard for anything that they ask you. And always for sure ask questions. I know folks really like that. It kind of shows to them that you're paying attention and that you care enough to, ask questions about the position that you're applying to. Make sure to review instructions and test your technology for virtual interviews. I know like sometimes it can be really stressful when like your Wi-Fi is cutting out, your computer's just, acting a fool the day that you need an interview. So just make sure to like prepare for that. Try to, set up your system early. Just try to contact them if anything's going on, but try to do that like as early as possible, basically. And that goes in hand with number 4, just find an environment with minimal distractions and noise for any virtual interviews. Please be on time. And number 6 is just follow up with a thank you email. I know it can mean a lot to some employers if you do kind of take the time to thank them from interviewing you. And it might even make you stand out a little bit. So, it doesn't hurt to try implementing that. I think back to you, Alex.
Okay, so I'm going to go over the hiring process a little bit with you guys. This includes the onboarding process and timesheets as well. Okay, so this is for on-campus students. There's a little bit of a difference between the on-campus and off-campus hiring process with us. So if you're an on-campus student, and you do get hired by a work study position, the first thing that you're going to do is fill out a work study new hire form. This can be found either on the financial aid website or the career center website, and this will basically start the process off. This is basically a Google form, a Microsoft form, I think, and you'll fill out some basic information about where you're working, if you're on campus, if you're off campus, who you're working for. You have like the job description, things like that. And once you submit this form, then you will get a DocuSign form called the Student Employment Contract. And here you'll fill out a little bit more, some basic information as well, an email, the position you're doing, your student ID. And then here you would attach a job description of the job that you're going to be working on Handshake and a work study eligibility notification. What this work study eligibility notification is basically just like a one sheet form that is more proof that you are work study eligible and shows how much that you have been awarded. Once you send this off, it will go to your supervisor. They'll sign off on it. They'll add some information like how much you're going to be paid, generally the amount of hours you're going to work a week, and then it will get sent over to us in the financial aid office. If everything looks good, then we will approve it, and then we'll send you and your supervisor an email that everything is good on our end, and then it will be up to your department to hire you at that point, to onboard you and do things like that. So you would work with them for that process. And then the next slide is the off-campus hiring process. It's a little bit more different because us in the financial aid office are actually going to onboard you instead of a hiring department, since that's off campus. So the beginning of the process is pretty much the same. You'll fill out that work study new hire form. You'll get that student employment contract as a result. You'll attach a job description and the eligibility notification. It will go over to your supervisor to sign, and it'll come to us. And then once we approve it, then we'll start off the onboarding process. So we'll work with our teams at UCR to onboard you. You would be receiving a DocuSign packet as an onboarding packet that you'll have to fill out. You might have to attend required appointments like an I-9 appointment to prove that you're eligible to work in the US. And those are usually in person. You might have to do an oath appointment. Usually those are virtual. And once that process is complete, usually it takes about 3 weeks, then we would be notified by the hiring team that you are good to go, and we would send you and your supervisor a letter of clearance, and then your off-campus supervisor then would have the all clear to start scheduling you for your hours. So the next few slides are some examples of these forms that I've been talking about. So this is a sample of what the Workstudy New Hire form looks like for this year. This is the form that if you are hired, this is what you will fill out. This can be found on the Financial Aid and Career Center website. Um, again, this has some basic information about your name, your email, your phone number, things like that. But there's some important aspects of this, which will say if you're on campus or off campus, if you have a job description or if you don't. And then once you send that in, then a specific DocuSign form will come to you if you do like have your job description or not, because if you don't have access to a job description, for example, then your supervisor would attach it for you. And so yeah, this is after this form is when you would get the student employment contract to fill out, and you would get this that's where you would attach a job description if you have it, or if your supervisor would have it when your work study eligibility notification. And then the next slide has what the work study eligibility notification will look like. This is something we ask you to attach to your student employment contract, because it's basically proof that you are work study eligible, and it says that it's the current year and how much you have been awarded. And because when you are going through interview processes for work study positions, we say it's pretty important to bring this form to those interviews, so those supervisors do have proof that you are work study eligible. Yeah, and that's the link is included in the slide if you needed access to this page. And then this next slide is a sample work study job description in Handshake. This is the other form that we ask you to add to the student employment contract if you have it. If you do not have it, then your supervisor would have to add it. This is basically just what you would apply to on Handshake. This is the form that you would see all the see what the job is about, see what kind of tasks that you would have to do. And we ask that it's a current job description for 24-25, and that it has work study in the title, because we can't have a non-work study position being added to these student employment contracts, because you need to be working in a specific work study specific position. So yeah, this is the other form that we would ask you to add to the work study student employment contract. And then this next slide this is only for those off-campus students, since on-campus students are going to be going through the onboarding process with their own department on campus. Since we're going to be onboarding the off-campus students through our office, this is basically the form that we send out to you and your supervisor once you're done with this process, to show that you have been cleared to work and that your supervisor can start scheduling you for the hours. And this comes just as an email, and it includes where you're going to be working, your supervisor's name, and then a rough estimate of how many hours that you'll be able to work. Is there a video attached, or?
I don't think so. I thought y'all had the link.
Okay. I don't think
Okay.
we have the link. Yeah, so we can just
Yeah,
move on.
we can just skip it.
Okay, so I'm gonna go over how the timesheet process now. And so this is for on-campus students. It's pretty we don't have too much information to share for that. There's you're going to be using the time and attendance reporting system, or TARS, and you'll be paid bi-weekly, and you'll go through that system. And if your on-campus supervisor has anything regarding procedures for that, then you'll have to just work with them. It's simple. we ask you to really keep track of your hours because you cannot go over your work study allocation. So if you have like $2,000, you can't go over that. And so a way to see how many hours you will work is how much you've been awarded and then divide it by the pay rate that you're going to be, that has been determined by your supervisor that you're going to be paid. So for this example, if you were given $2,000 and you were going to get $16 an hour, then you had about 125 hours to work throughout the whole school year. So if you work a lot of hours, up to those 19 hours a week, then that can be depleted pretty fast. Or if you work, 6 or 7 hours, then you could be working for a longer period of time. And then there is a process that if you do run out of hours, you can through an appeal process to gain more hours. And if there's funds available and you have room in your financial aid package, then you could actually get more of an award. So you can get up to like maybe $1,000 more dollars, $1,500 more dollars even. Um, and then you would be able to keep working in that position if you would like. So for the off-campus students, it's a little bit more involved of a process now. You're still going to be going through TARS and filling out through there. Um, but instead of your off-campus supervisor going into TARS and going and approving through that process, off-campus supervisors are not going to have access to the system anymore for the year. So what you're going to do now as an off-campus student is you're going to be getting this DocuSign form bi-weekly on generally Wednesdays before the timesheets are due from our office, and you're going to have to upload like a screenshot of the detailed view of the hours that you were working to this form. Then that will be sent over to your supervisor in their email through DocuSign. And then that's where they will approve with edits or anything that needs to be changed. And then once that's sent over and approved by them, then it comes over to our office and then we'll look it over and then we will be the ones to actually approve your timesheet in TARS after making the edits. So that's why the off campus is a little bit more involved because the supervisors won't be just going into TARS to approve. We're going to have them approve through this DocuSign form, and then us, the financial aid office, will be actually approving your timesheets through TARS. And yeah, it's important to keep track of your hours there too as well. Okay, so these are just a couple of things about money that you might need in your life, I guess. So so gross wage is basically the amount that you're paid before any taxes are taken out or deductions taken out in general. So this would just be like the straight up amount that it says that you would be getting paid for the year. And then the net pay is your take home pay. So it is that gross pay minus any taxes, deductions that are taken out. It's the actual amount that you are able to have for yourself to spend how you would like. This W4 form is basically a form that you would fill out to tell employers how much money to take out for taxes. It's basically to determine how much federal income taxes would be taken out of your paycheck every time. And this is based on like things like how many jobs you have or if you have dependents. So if you need more to have take home, so you could have because you need to take care of people at home, for example. This W-2 form is just a basic form that records your gross wages, so how much you will generally earn throughout the year, and then breaks down the amount taken for taxes out. And this is getting in January, and then you do it for the prior year's wages. If you're interested in anything regarding these topics or like things like budgeting, how to budget, how to manage your money, things that are really useful tools to have in college and especially for the rest of your life. We do have financial wellness workshops um, that can basically give you a lot more information on how these work and like what kind of tools you can use to budget and things like that. You can go to go.ucr.edu/Finwell, or you can follow UCR Finwell on Instagram for more information on that kind of stuff.
Okay, I can take over. Okay, so who to contact? So for financial aid, if you need help with work study allocation and pay, like work study eligibility questions, any allocation adjustments, or off-campus timesheet questions, please contact the financial aid department. And any reminders to mainly like signing up for direct deposit in our web and UC Path, please contact the financial aid department. And then for the Career Center, if you need to schedule an appointment for job search assistance, interview prep, resume and cover letter reviews, or if you want to just attend an event and workshop, like for example, our virtual skill building workshops, or virtual resume reviews or mock interview events with employers. And I forgot to list this, but our in-person resume workshops too, feel free to contact the Career Center email or come into the office. And then these are our preferred emails for financial aid. It would be finaid@ucr.edu. And again, it lists like examples for what you might need help with. Please contact them. And for the Career Center, it's careercenter@ucr.edu. And again, just an example for what you might need help with. Just contact us for that. And we just have a couple of announcements. Again, just plugging our website. We try to keep it as up to date as possible. Here's a direct link to the work study program page on the Career Center website. Feel free to use that, to your liking. And we actually have somebody here to advertise their position, but I need to see if I can find them. Or Victoria, if you're there, feel free to unmute yourself. Sorry, I'm like looking at the participants. Okay, I don't think she's here, but I'll advertise it for her. So this is for the UC Riverside Trio Programs office, and they're looking for an upward bound academic mentor. And Victoria here highlighted just their skills and qualifications that they're primarily looking for, which is they want a student with a 3.0 minimum GPA. They'd prefer if the potential employee had high school tutoring experience, and reliable transportation is a requirement. And their schedule and pay, I guess it's from 3 to 8 hours a week at $19 an hour. Be available on select Saturdays, and hybrid is available depending on like what the program needs. So this is Victoria's contact email, and I also highlighted it here with a direct link to directly email her from your inbox. This is the QR code that you can scan that takes you directly to the job, but I also linked it here with the official like work study title. You can feel free to click on that when we send out the PowerPoint and recording afterwards, and it'll take you directly to that job posting. And this is also the job number ID. So just in case just in case anything doesn't work for you, you can always just look up this number on the little search bar in Handshake and it'll pop out. Just make sure that it matches the title. And Monica, do you want to hop on?
Yes, thank you, Michelle. So if you guys, were kind of looking at that financial wellness slide that we had that talked to you about like the different W's about money and earning money. So the financial wellness program is actually hiring a peer advisor as well. So if that interests you, that type of stuff with, trying to understand personal finances, if you're interested in applying for that peer advisor position, it is open right now. We are looking for a work study student who can work 10 to 15 hours a week. Financial wellness is part of the financial aid office. So you would get trained a little bit on financial aid, but then also on, doing some social media for programming about financial literacy. So again, if that kind of stuff interests you or you feel like you want to learn more about it, you can go to the workshops or you can apply to be considered for the peer advisor position open within the financial wellness program. And then the job application expires on September 20th, so please apply before. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for coming. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. Actually, let me stop sharing my screen real quick. And I'm also going to stop the recording.